All right, let's talk about some footy because what a performance it was. Geelong won by 19 points after Adelaide led by 30 at the 19-minute mark of the second quarter. There was goals everywhere. There was 33 kicked, the Crows 100, Geelong 119. The game of the round, I'm calling it, and it's going to be tough to beat for the game of the year. Kingy, what's your first thoughts on what we saw last night?
My first thoughts are Patrick Dangerfield has an anger and an aggression to his play, to his approach to the game that not many have had in the last decade.
Correct.
The way that he attacks the ball with such ferocity, I think it put a fear into the back six of the Crows. They weren't sure how to attack him, how to approach him, how to curtail him, and he just went to work and willed his team over the line. And once they found that forward 50 ascendancy, away they went. What a scoring phenomenon they were.
I thought they were done. I reckon they were one goal from being done. But They looked buried, and Adelaide were all over them late in that second term. But they found a way to go back to centre bounce and get some ascendancy from centre bounce. I thought Atkins' game, he's not a polished player, is he? He's not, but he is. Speaking of tough, his performance last night in some critical contests, some critical clearances, surged the ball forward. I mean, and he was doing the job on Rankin. So those that can actually curtail your opponent and also go and win the footy when you need to at the same time. I thought he needed some recognition for his performance, and he was the one for me that hung in there and kept the team hanging in there. You go into halftime with some momentum. You narrowed the margin with 3 late ones off the back of 4 centre-bounce goals at halftime. Because they were getting punished and they weren't coping with Adelaide's pressure, which was really strong early.
Yeah, I thought Jeremy Cameron really warmed to the task as well in that second half. And when he gets the ball, he just has a happy knack of hitting the scoreboard. And some of his play was inspirational. That right foot goal, everything sort of fell their way for 5 minutes, which happens regularly for teams. But to get it on the scoreboard is a whole different challenge. Look at that forward 50, and we've talked a bit about Geelong's forward half. You know, who's it going to be? You just wonder if Dangerfield is going to be able to do this for the year. How long can he play like this? I mean, you're not thinking that he'll be able to kick 4 goals a week. No. It's maybe not even about the goals. It's more about the approach.
It's about, making those around him nervous, which is what he did. Some of his defensive staff turnover last night was as good as you're saying. So this is where they need to manage him. So I think for Chris Scott, and he'll be all over this with the fitness staff there, Dangerfield needs some serious management this year and to not play some football.
So how's that look?
Well, rest. He needs to rest. But probably 4 times for the year. Yeah, don't travel to those games if there's any way that he's sore. Now, it won't be this week. I think it's an 11-day break before they play Hawthorn on Easter Monday, so that he's probably okay next week. But whenever there is a shortened window or wherever he's sore, because the soft tissue stuff has built up for him, and he's at risk of that with the way that he plays. So if it's 4 breaks for the year, if he needs a spell, just do it. If he needs 2 weeks off, do it. Holmes is the other one that, now he's young, but I think he needs management this year. He often looks sore and has had the soft tissue stuff as well. Came off last night with a bit of a hip complaint and had the painkillers. So they can't win it without those two. So Holmes and Dangerfield need to be managed.
Yeah, I was fascinated to see how Bailey Smith would impact this team. And just his gut running is at a level that most players can't go with. Yeah. I reckon he blew them up in the midfield last night. Blew them up. Just absolutely had them gassed halfway through the third term. And even in the last quarter, they had to put the sub who'd come on late in the game to him. They had to put young bodies on him to go with him. And they were struggling as well. So his overlap work, he ended up with 35 touches. And I know he wins 17 in what they're calling contested possessions or in a contest, but it felt like 25 of his 35 were on the outside and creating havoc. He had 9 scoring involvements. He was huge. Hasn't he changed their lineup?
It has. Him and Holmes now the 1-2 in the midfield, the run and carry. So Holmes was 800 metres gain. Smith was 643. Next best was 400. So the run and drive that they will give you is just a different look through the midfield. So I thought they were the two with those forwards that you mentioned, Cameron and Dangerfield. Last Monday, I spoke about Adelaide's weaknesses and the lack of their key defensive options.
Yeah.
And Mark Kane was exposed last night.
He was good early.
Ball use was just horrific.
I thought it was terrific first half. Well, he was a one-man wall there for the first half. Give him some credit.
No, I think with ball in hand, he takes options that he shouldn't be taking. I mean, they conceded 2 goals.
I thought Hinge was the poorest by foot last night.
He was going at 91% leading into the game, one of the best kick in football to that point. But they conceded 2 goals off direct smothers. One from Laird and Dangerfield, one from Hinge with Jeremy Cameron just sticking his hand up and smothering it. So they'd be disappointed with the ease of that. But they need a key defender in the off-season. I know they went for Harrison Petty a couple of years. They dodged a bullet there. But
Murray to come back,
but
I'm a fan of Murray.
They're one
like
short. I think Murray is very good defensively, but I'm not sure he joins in on offence.
That's all they need. They need someone who can just do the job defensively. They've got the rest sorted. I'm worried about... I look at Rory Laird and I think, what are you? Like, are you helping us win it back or are you helping us counterpunch? I'm just not sold that he does either facet. 9 out of 10. I'm just
been a pretty good player.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying he's been a poor player, but I'm just waiting to see what he is as a halfback. Is now that they changed the gears. You're out and gone, and just look at what St Kilda are doing off halfback with the 2 bullets off halfback and Nasiah Wanganeen-Miller and Jack Sinclair, and you think, okay, look at Rioli goes to the Suns, changes their whole profile. Are Adelaide as ballistic off halfback as they need to be? Because once they got clamped, they couldn't move the ball.
So are they any good, Adelaide? Like, are they any good? Like,
Gee, that's a statement.
when you look at They
were 30 points up.
I understand, and they were pretty good last week against good opposition, but they didn't get it done. So they've beaten. Who have they beaten? St Kilda at home. Saints don't usually win in Adelaide, so that was pretty convincing. They've beaten Essendon, and they've beaten North Melbourne. Are they? I'm not sold yet until they get a scalp and the fixture becomes a little bit problematic for them. So next week it's the Giants at home. They have to be winning that. They have to start beating good sides at home, and then they go Fremantle away, Carlton at home. So they win that, and they probably win the showdown before Collingwood at the MCG. So there's some big tests coming for them, and what they do need is a scalp.
Yeah, well, they'll get their opportunity for the scalp, but I'm worried about the scores they're conceding. I mean, even Essendon kicked 100 points against them. I know they kicked 161, but you can't engage in shootouts all the time and not deny the opposition or strip something off the opposition and expect to win consistently. The best teams in the comp, they've given up 72, 78, 91, 100, and last night 119 is a big number.
It's a bad loss when you're 30 up in a game that doesn't have Stewart and doesn't have a Henry, probably their two most important defensive options, certainly from an intercept point of view. They're not playing and Stewart's are laid out, and you lose that.
So what do you need to change?
What's their midfield? Does it have the punch and the speed and the power that the other and you mentioned Smith and Holmes and what they did last night. They made them look slow.
Yeah, they did.
Does the midfield have that punch? I was disappointed in Dawson last night. He doesn't often have a poor game. So every now and then you can have a poor game. He's so consistent. But
Saligo was off.
He butchered the ball. Saligo's kick, he finds it okay. But is there midfield, if Rankin is being held and teams are going to come hard for Rankin now, does their midfield have enough punch? Is there a couple of question marks over them, and do they have the elite small forward that they need? We'll wait and see when Rochelle comes back, and a key defensive option. So I just think at the moment they're a good side, but there's a few holes, and until they get a big scalp, then I think the questions are rightly there.
Yeah, it's a good discussion. I mean, Dawson is one they're trying to use centre forward. So I understand that they're trying to stay powerful in the front half with Rankin down there as well, spitting forward quite regularly. Where would they have been without Rankin last night? Well, Rankin's had 25 touches and 10 of them have gone on the scoreboard. He's kicked 2 and he was 50-50 to play. We didn't know 15 minutes before.
They weren't sure
teams
either.
were going in that he was going to play or not. So it would have looked a bit bland without him. I still think that they've got assets that are going to threaten. I mean, the 3 tools, whether you like it or not, they are performing. They are delivering upon their task. So I think that's an asset they can build on. I'm a bit different. I think when you talk midfield, you've got to add the flankers in. You've got to add the halfback flankers in.
You want Hinge in there, don't you?
I want Hinge in there. Yeah, I do. I just think he's something different. He's a bit like Hayden Young. Like, they don't necessarily look like midfielders, but they go in, and because they're centre forward players, there's less tension with their kicking and there's a bit more freedom. And I think they need another one. I basically think they need another one, but their half-back line's not express. They need someone that can play with some real dare. I thought Miller was terrific in Pat's last night.
Good.
He ended up with 22 touches, but, you sort of needed that to be 30. The ball was there a lot. No, it was a great game. I like the fact that both teams have gone over 100 points. I mean, the game's in good state, but the Crows would be disappointed to have lost that so convincingly in the second half.
No doubt about that. Kingy, last week you had Melbourne's A-graders in the gun.
Yeah.
And?
They're probably still in there, aren't they?
Yeah.
Given the tears in the post-match and just the performance, they're just not there, are they? They're still in the gun.
And I had Rory Lobb for his stupid TikTok haircut.
How'd he go, Rory?
No, just.
Is just a pass or is just a problem?
Just is a problem.
Right.
In the gun is for Grays.com, Australia's leading online auction marketplace. Who have you got in the gun this week?
Well, I'm staying with tonight's game. I think it'll be a cracker tonight, Collingwood and the Sydney Swans. We've got a Sydney Swan in the crowd, in the audience there. I'm looking at Brodie Grundy and I'm saying, can you do it again? Well, I thought he was terrific last week and he looked aggressive. He looked to play with a bit of anger. We had Dean Cox on Monday. I just think maybe the ruck coach is good for the ruckman, understands what the capabilities are and how aggressive you can be. I think the Dean's been really good for Brodie, and he's up against Darcy Cameron tonight. This is a serious challenge. And if you're going to beat Collingwood, I think you have to beat the ruckman. You have to compete. And Lee Montagna showed some vision last week of Darcy Cameron dropping back behind the ball, the old style ruckman, and allowing their other half-backers to get on the move, given the cover they've got. Well, if Brodie can get forward and compete with Darcy and even hit the scoreboard, then I think the whole game swings. So if Darcy Cameron can do as he pleases, I think Collingwood would win and probably win well. But if Brodie can mount a challenge, a really physical challenge, game on.
I like it. I think you want to address this in the agenda, but is Vossi in the gun for how patient he's been at selection?
Well, that's a very good question.
So
he didn't really drop anyone, did he?
They've made some changes. Mackay comes in, Cottrell, Carroll and Durden. Out goes Young. Well, it's an easy omission, I would have thought. Cowan, easy omission.
Injured.
Moyer, easy.
He had one touch last week, Moyer.
One touch. And Lord.
Can't believe they dropped Lord.
So there's some big names that have been left in that side that probably are lucky. So I think Vossi's in the gun. Now they play West Coast, so they will win, and they've made some big changes themselves. But I think it's fair to put Vossi in the gun for his patience.
So what does he need to do? What does he need to show to get himself?
Well, Doherty keeping his spot in the side is really interesting with his performance and his lack of physicality in those moments that you go, oh, should he be playing at the level now? Probably not. Williams is the other one.
Carlton fans, send us. What do you go with? Send us your thoughts. What are your thoughts?
What are your thoughts? give us your thoughts for Grays.com, Australia's leading online auction marketplace. It's easy to buy and sell with Grays. But Lob's done the haircut again, and I know people think I'm a little bit old school or pedantic, but like this is becoming all about him and the TikTok influence and him getting famous ahead of the team. He's got woof woof on the side of his head. Like, it's comical. Like, people think it's funny or whatever. I don't know. It's just ridiculous. It is.
I'd like to have the luxury. I can't muck around with my
woof woof on the side of his head.
It's not growing back. Are you watching any other teams beside the Dogs at the moment or not?
Well,
you've had them in the gun a lot.
Well, I think, and if he keeps doing stupid haircuts, then I think it's fair enough.
At what stage does the coach just say, righto, that's enough, Rory? That's enough.
Well, 3 weeks ago?
Well, you got to give him a little bit of rope.
Yeah, he had some rope with the blue hair, and that was good. Once again, I didn't mind that. The lobster in the hair, I thought was absolutely ridiculous. And now the woof woof in the side of your head. And then it's the wanting to get famous off it, which is the interesting thing, and putting yourself ahead of the team.
I think the woof woof is probably the last port of call, isn't it?
Well, I don't know.
You're out of ideas.
I don't know if there's much more that he can go to because the hair's all gone. So you've actually, because he shaved all the hair off. So.
No, I'm with you.
You with me?
I'm with you with that one. I think it's I'll wear a couple. I'll give you a couple of swings.
I'll give you.
He's gone a third strike.
That's a third strike. 1300 736 736. We'd love your thoughts. Get involved in the program. Who have you got in the gun? Let us know your thoughts. I've got computer screens everywhere, but I can't work out which one is for the.
Can I bring up a different topic? I don't know whether we're going to a break or not, but I'm just going to keep talking. The Tim Kelly omission. Do you see this as a successful move or a successful lever for a coach to pull this early in his tenure?
I think it's good.
You like it?
I think it's good. I think it makes a statement. I think it sets standards, and if there was a criticism over the Eagles players and maybe coaching staff that I've had for 3 years, it's the standards haven't been good enough, and I think this is the only thing that you can do. Selection integrity, and if you're not living up to those standards, then you lose your place in the side. Now, it's hard because he's a senior player and they don't have many senior players, but I think absolutely, if the coach feels like he needs to do that and if the player isn't living up to those standards, then you lose your place in the side.